exist if there's no rights to be human and fear? And if you take away our home, where's the heart supposed to live? Sing it with me now. Free, free Palestine. 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 Free, free Palestine.
Music industry's quiet, complicit in their platform of silence. What happens to the artist? What you gotta say? It's on the label, you could drop me today. I'll be fine with it cause the heart fed my page. I want a ceasefire, fuck a response from Drake. What you willing to risk? What you willing to give? What if you were in Gaza? What if those were your kids? If the West was pretending that you didn't exist, you want the world to stand up and the students finally...
Rafah! Hands off 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 Rafah! What do we want? Ceasefire! When do we want it? Now! What do we want? Ceasefire! When do we want it? Now! What do we want? Ceasefire! When do we want it? Now! What do we want? Ceasefire! When do we want it? Now! Welcome everybody to this rally for Hands Off Rafah. My name's Ashley Smith. I'm part of the Vermont Coalition for Palestinian Liberation. We are now 7 months into a genocide. The Israeli state has killed, officially, according to the Gaza Health Ministry, 35,000 people. They've wounded 80,000 people. They've displaced 1.4 million people, most of them to Rafah. Now, the Israeli state stands poised for a ground invasion into Rafah. Last night, they launched a blitzkrieg of bombs on Rafah, murdering men, women, and children, civilians, fighters, people of all sorts. They've cut off the only access for humanitarian aid on the border to Egypt. They are literally kettling an entire city and preparing to murder people in vast quantities, more people than they've murdered so far. Israel does not care about its hostages. If it did, it would have accepted the ceasefire offer that Hamas made and immediately stopped this damn war. In fact, what Israel is after is what they've been after not since October 7th, but since 1948, 76 years ago. They are out for the complete ethnic cleansing of Palestine. They are committed to building a racist ethno-state on historic Palestine, even if it means massacring all Palestinians on their native soil. Biden could stop this. He could cut off all military aid to Israel now. He could cut off all funding to the state of Israel now. He has done none of that. Absolutely none of that. Netanyahu's a war criminal. Yes, we know that. South Africa has proved it. But we know also that genocide Joe Biden is a war criminal, and the International Criminal Court should put out an arrest warrant for Joe Biden for his crimes against the Palestinian people. While Palestinians are resisting this genocidal war, the people of the world have responded to their call for solidarity. All around the world, the people are marching this evening to stop the genocide that's going to be wrought on the city of Rafah. And more than any other people in the world, the students have led the charge, setting up encampments all across the United States, demanding boycott, divestment, sanctions, the utter closure of any kind of academic relations with the Israeli apartheid university system. They demanded the disclosure of all the financial investments of their campuses. All across the country, people have been in encampments demanding these things of their universities. And now that is spreading all around the world, throughout Europe, throughout the Middle East, to Australia, to New Zealand, to Latin America, to Asia. People are responding, led by the students of this country, to rise up against this genocidal war. And you know what the U.S. state under liberal democratic leadership has done in response to these encampments is aid and abet fascist goon squads attacking the encampments and then using that as an alibi to unleash riot cops on Columbia, on NYU, on UCLA to intimidate the pro-Palestinian protesters on these campuses. But you know what? They've underestimated the students of this country, and people have rebuilt their encampments, redoubled their commitment to winning BDS on their campuses, and the world is watching what we are doing here in the belly of the beast, in the heartland of U.S. imperialism. We need to follow the lead of the Palestinian people, whose undying resistance to apartheid settler colonialism is an inspiration to our struggle today. Their intifada must be globalized. We need to globalize the Palestinian intifada because their liberation is liberating all of us, from the students on campuses to the American labor movement to the world working class movement. We're fighting for a free Palestine, shoulder to shoulder with our Palestinian siblings in occupied Palestine. We will not relent. We know this is a long struggle. It is not going to end today. It's not going to end this week. It's not going to end this year. This is a years-long struggle to free Palestine.
Free Palestine!
Free Palestine!
Free Palestine!
Free Palestine!
Free Palestine!
Okay, just a quick summary of what we're doing today. So we are going to rally with just a few speakers, 4 speakers, and then we are going to march up College Street to join our siblings in the encampment at the University of Vermont. And we are going to celebrate with them their enormous victory in forcing the University of Vermont to disclose their financial investments. But most importantly, we are going to celebrate their tremendous victory in canceling the war criminal and U.S. UN ambassador to the United Nations, Linda Thomas-Greenfield. Without that encampment, the cancellation of Linda Thomas-Greenfield would never have happened. As the great black abolitionist said, Frederick Douglass said, without struggle, there is no progress. Their struggle canceled this war criminal. Victory to the students. Next up, we have Kim Chadwell, who is my co-MC. Give it up for Kim.
When Palestine is oppressed, boycott, sanctions, and divest. When Palestine is oppressed, boycott, sanctions, and divest. When Palestine is oppressed, boycott, sanctions, and divest. Hey, everybody, can you hear me okay? Yeah. Awesome. Thank you. The first time I heard the word Palestine, I was in high school. It was maybe about 2009, 2010. My classmates and I put on a one-act...
Louder, closer.
Sorry. How about this? So back in high school, me and a couple classmates put on this one-act play called Stone Girls Dreaming. It was my first exposure to Palestine and the war on Palestinians going on over there. It was a beautiful play, which I can find virtually nothing about on the internet today, which makes sense. It outlined apartheid so clearly, but I moved on with my life and I forgot. As many of us do, there wasn't a lot of information. I didn't dig deeper. The next time that Palestine came up for me was when I was organizing for the Standing Rock protests against Dakota Access Pipeline back in 2015, 2016. I tried to organize a protest in front of Trump Tower, got myself on a little train, got lost in Brooklyn for like 4 hours trying to find my way there. Got there, maybe 15, 20 people showed up, but you know who did show up were the First Nation and Indigenous people.
Yes.
They don't forget. They have the same shared experience as Palestinians and are the ultimate example of solidarity and keeping the fight going. And it was truly from conversations I had with those people at that protest that day that brought Palestine back to my mind and has kept it in my mind ever since. So with that said, we are going to do a land acknowledgement. We are on the historical homeland of Indigenous people. We honor their rich history as the traditional and ongoing stewards of these lands. We know that this land is unceded. European colonialism carried out massive violence, ethnic cleansing, and genocide to steal their land. The U.S. is a colonial and imperial power that continues this dispossession of native land today. We honor both the historical and ongoing resistance of Indigenous peoples to settler colonialism. We support their struggles for justice and self-determination. We must commit ourselves to active solidarity with all struggles for Indigenous rights. All right, everybody, we're going to start things off with our first speaker of the day, Merrick Broderick, Burlington City Councilor and UVM student protester. Give it up.
Hello, everyone. My name is Merrick Broderick. I am Burlington City Councilor and one of the hundreds of students, faculty, staff, graduate students who are fighting to demand that the University of Vermont end its complicity in genocide. And as of Friday, one of the tens of students who the University of Vermont has put frivolous charges trying to quell our right to free speech, freedom of assembly, and freedom of expression. Looking at rallies like this one here at City Hall, the encampment at UVM, is the perfect example of unity of struggle and why we can do anything when the labor movement, the climate movement, the student movement, and social movements across the country come together. Anything is possible. Regardless if this encampment ends tonight, if it ends tomorrow, if it ends next week, we are still here and we will not stop until all people are free. So thank you to the unions, thank you to the climate movement, thank you to every single one of you here at UVM, across the country, across the world, for standing in solidarity against genocide, against apartheid, against an end to violence across the world and an end to oppression.
Yes.
I think that's it for me, actually. Thank you.
When we go up, oops, I'm going to blow the mic.
Your voice is...
Yeah, I'm too loud. When we go up to UVM, one of the key things we're demanding is for an amnesty for all the student protesters in the encampment. This is extremely important. I just learned today that UVM, in its wisdom, I guess, is bringing the charges against the students in a room named after Rosa Parks. If you can believe the irony and contradiction of that, It shows what they do to our movements. They oppose us when we're doing the real struggle, and then they coronate us on placards after we're long and gone. Because they don't like us when we're living revolutionaries. They only like us when we're dead revolutionaries. So when we go up to UVM, we are going to be celebrating the living revolutionaries, because they are the future of this country. So chant with me. What do we want? Amnesty. When do we want it? Now. What do we want? Amnesty. When do we want it? Now. What do we want? Amnesty. When do we want it? Now. What do we want? Amnesty. When do we want it? Now. Okay, next up, we have somebody who I've known for a long time, who is a member of Students for Justice in Palestine as a graduate student, and now has become a labor leader here in the city of Burlington. Please give it up for Nolan Rampey, Vice President of AFSCME 1674, the union at the Howard Center.
7 months. 7 months of murdering women and children. 7 months of destroying the universities. 7 months of destroying the hospitals, of razing homes and apartments to the ground. 35,000 people that we know of have been killed. Who knows what the death toll is going to be when all of the bodies are cleared out of the rubble? And all of this has been backed by our government. Joe Biden has moved heaven and earth to make sure that the bombs and the munitions and the equipment to supply Israel's genocide never stops flowing. And this is bipartisan. Democrats, Republicans have all been together, unified in backing this genocide. And you are right, it is absolutely shameful, and we need to call it as such. What we're seeing right now, right here in front of you, is the population saying, we are not going to accept this anymore.
That's right.
Our tax dollars, we do not accept going to fund genocide. We do not accept our political leaders providing the cover, the political cover at the United Nations to allow Israel to continue doing this. We are standing up and we are saying no more. As Ashley mentioned, back when I was in grad school, I was a part of for Students for Justice in Palestine. This was almost a decade ago. And it is so inspiring to see the encampment that is taking place at UVM. These are students. Yes, it is an absolute inspiration. These are students that are saying, not in our name, and they are saying that we are not going to allow business to go on as usual any longer. And they are doing that in conjunction with students all over the country that are being the conscience of this nation.
That's right.
Because clearly our leaders are not going to do it. That's why it is so important for us to support this and for us to support them. This conflict has both galvanized the student movement, but it's also galvanized the labor movement that I've been a part of and working to build for so long. All around the country, workers are organizing at their workplaces, in their unions, demanding that their unions stand up and fight and say that our union will not support apartheid any longer. If you're a student, I encourage you to get involved in the encampment. If you're a worker, particularly if you're a part of a union, I implore you to please start organizing within your union around this issue. Right now, there is a campaign going on. You may have gotten a flyer about it. It is the anti-apartheid campaign. We are calling on both organizations around the city and also unions around the city and the state to sign on to this pledge to be anti-apartheid, to be apartheid-free. These are the types of steps that we need to be taking. This fight's gonna go on for a long time. It's a marathon, not a sprint. So I am so glad to see everyone out here. I hope that you will keep coming out, keep organizing, keep building, and keep fighting, because that's how we're gonna win, is together. Solidarity.
Viva, viva Palestina!
Viva, viva Palestina!
Viva, viva Palestina!
Viva, viva Palestina!
I think we can go a little bit louder. Viva, viva Palestina!
Viva, viva Palestina!
Awesome. All right. All right, our next speaker is Mal Siegel from Jewish Voice for Peace. Give it up, guys.
My name is Mallory Siegel. I am a member of Jewish Voice for Peace. I'm also a graduate student at University of Vermont. Beyond the hundreds of billions of dollars, what is the cost of silence? As we stand here together, Israel is dropping US-made bombs on the 1.7 million civilians trapped in Rafah, made possible by our tax dollars. There is nowhere left to go, nowhere safe for the 600,000 children made refugees in their own country. Their displacement made possible by our tax dollars. This is the cost of business as usual. What is the cost of silence? Let us remember that it has taken 7 months of genocide made possible by our tax dollars, a death toll of what is surely much more than 40,000 Palestinians in Gaza, 75 years of an ongoing Nakba, 75 years of settler colonial occupation, and the mass displacement of millions of Palestinians from their land. That is what it has taken for Representative Becca Balint to agree that criticizing Israel is an anti-Semitic, and for Senator Peter Welch to call for the application of the Leahy Law onto Israel. This is the cost of silence. As we stand here together in full solidarity with the brave and righteous students who have set up encampments for Gaza across the country, around the world, and right here at UVM, thousands of college students around the country have been arrested violently, many by the same forces that train with the IOF, training made possible by our tax dollars. What is the cost of silence? To the silent majority, the so-called silent majority on my campus, I ask, what are the conditions under which you are coerced into silence? And if I asked you to tell me everything there is to know about the university's policy of safety for some, not safety for all, and how we are expected to embody it, what could you tell me without ever telling me anything? What is the cost of your silence? When there are no more buildings to bomb, no more lungs to be filled with white phosphorus in between the struggle to find enough air to scream, when the dust settles into permanent silence, will the university let you speak? Will they ask you to publish on the record on the tragedy of Gaza, in Rafah, of the Palestinian people, of genocide, on the failure to confront the material, cultural, and spiritual legacies of colonialism? Genocide is the cost of your silence.
That's right.
I am sick and tired, we are sick and tired of having to preface that opposing genocide and apartheid is not anti-Semitic, of centering my Judaism because that is what the Zionist opposition demands made possible by our tax dollars. So once again, we stand here together, sick and tired of the violence enacted and enabled by those who have the means to invoke the violent hammer of the state apparatus upon us all, because we dare to stand up and fight back.
That's right.
We must refuse to falter in our resistance to the Zionist opposition that demands our movement center, above all else, their fear and their inhumanity. We must refuse to bear the cost of silence. Our movement, our work, our struggle is rooted in the humanity of the Palestinian people and their righteous fight for liberation. So long as we are standing here together, sick and tired and alive, we are together, united in our collective power. We will never be silenced, no matter the cost. The liberation of Palestine and our collective liberation requires us to be louder, more organized, and far stronger than we have ever been. For Rafah, for the student revolution, for the sake of repairing the world, and for a free and liberated Palestine. Thank you.
Thank you, Mal, and all our siblings in Jewish Voice for Peace. I just want to say that the lie that Joe Biden is spewing on a daily basis, the lie that the Democrats are spewing on a daily basis, the lie that the Republicans are spewing on a daily basis, that our movement in solidarity with Palestine is anti-Semitic. That is a lie. And anybody who's been to any encampment and any demonstration and have listened to our brave siblings in Jewish Voice for Peace speaking out as proud Jewish anti-Zionists know that the charge of anti-Semitism is a slanderous lie. We stand shoulder to shoulder against every form of racism, because we know a chink in our armor of solidarity will destroy our movement. That's why we embrace our Jewish, Palestinian, and all our siblings in the movement as equal participants in a struggle for collective liberation. There is no one better than the next speaker who's taught this to our movement in the state of Vermont, that solidarity is the only way to win. Please give it up for Wafik Faour from Bonners for Justice in Palestine.
Assalamu alaikum. Before I came to speak, I asked my wife, what should I say after my sisters and brother and siblings, what they said? She said, only make it short. It's fitting that we are in front of the city hall this moment, because 2 hours ago, the Israeli offensive, they attacked the city hall of Rafah and put it on fire. What to say to Rafah, the last city in the southern Palestine? Some people, they say Israeli reoccupying Rafah. Rafah had been occupied since '67. An open siege prisons for the last 17 years. Rafah, 1,300,000. 70% are refugees from Gaza, who are 70% are refugees from historical Palestine, 1948. Let's learn something about it, and I want to say it in soft voice. Maybe it will sink. Israeli wouldn't dare do Rafah operation without a green light from Biden and Blinken.
That's right.
We have to admit that because of responsibility of your government, our government, we have responsibility to answer. We put forward apartheid-free Vermont in front of you. Any individual can carry it to their municipalities, to their companies. A boycott, personal boycott, should be called anybody can go and download No Thanks app, which helps you to go to the grocery store and boycott the Israeli product. Today, I listened to our president when he was commemorating the Holocaust Remembrance Day. We all should remember the 6 million Jews who have been perished at the hand of the Nazis, and we shall never forget.
That's right.
We shall never forget millions others who have been otherized and have been killed on the same Holocaust. Peoples of color, LGBTQ, and many, many disabled people as well. For that, we have to remember it after many genocides, including the genocide happened on this land.
That's right.
If we forget that, we're going to forget the genocide happening to the Palestinians. If we don't come together, united, to fight this evil, that they are in control of this system and they still otherizing our black and brown people, we are continuing to be participant of the crime.
That's right.
Ironically, and I will stand with our students, who the history will tell us there is a time before the student uprising in the colleges in solidarity of Palestine and the time after. This is how it will happen. They are facing disciplinary action tomorrow. Ironically, I just learned they want to be in a room named Rosa Parks. What an irony. Immediately, I imagined Rosa Parks on that disciplinary, and I know where she's going to be sitting, what side she's going to be taken. Rosa Parks, who have been prevented to sit down on her seat, same like our student, have been opposed to take their place and their space inside their college. Rosa Parks fight for equality, for human rights, for the right of her people. Same like our students.
That's right.
They are awakening the conscience of this American silent majority. And I'll say it again. Thank you for coming, but that's not enough. That's not enough. We know some progressive member of the council send our message. Send a message in support of the student. That's not enough. We appreciate Mayor Emma because she was a transparent and she's different than the regime of Miro, but that's not enough. The political system here in Vermont is still using and weaponizing anti-Semitism against our movement.
That's right.
If you come and visit the Middlebury College encampment or the encampment here up the hill in UVM, you will find where the real Jews are sitting on what side. They are suffering like the rest, but with extra. Because the Zionists on this town, they calling anti-Semitic and other apathy I cannot repeat here. We have to stand with our Jewish siblings on this struggle and this fight, because at the end, we are chained together.
That's right.
We are chained together. If the Palestinians are not free, our Jewish siblings will never be free.
That's right.
We're chained together. This struggle put us together, and we have to get used to each other on this struggle, and there is ups and downs, and we have to overcome. For that, thank you again, and long live Palestine.
All right, guys, we're gonna wrap up real quick and then we'll get marching, okay? A lot of people have been throwing around the word violent and violence lately, and fair enough. Let's get into the nuance of what violence is. Locally, city councilors gathering together to collectively outvote and reject a community organized movement for a ceasefire resolution is violence.
That's right. Yep.
Going behind our backs, even though we crossed our T's and dotted our I's to bring together a referendum for an apartheid-free community to set precedent for boycott, sanctions, and divest, blocking that is violence.
That's right.
We need to create our own precedent now. We need to get into our communities. We need to organize. You need to outreach to your local town offices and figure out what the requirements are. How many signatures do you need? We need to make this a grassroots movement because people in power in our local communities have said flat out no. And this is a people-powered movement, and there's more of us than them. So we need your help in order to make this happen on an en masse scale, because Vermont tax dollars go to Israel. There's like some $7 million that go to Israel every year. And we have weapons manufacturers in our backyard.
That's right.
There is precedent. We need to make this a local movement. So if you don't know where to start, come to a meeting with the Vermont Coalition for Palestinian Liberation, May 18th, 1 p.m. at the Burlington Quakers Meeting House. That's a great place to start. There are so many local organizations that can help direct you on next steps to take. And also, we're gonna be trying to do outreach in the community. We're gonna be doing some tabling at locations in Chittenden County to try and get more resources out to you folks and for people who haven't even gotten involved yet. But also, we need money to do that. So, Venmo, it's a great tool. At VCPL802, if you can donate, thank you so much. If you cannot, just spread the word. Someone in your circle can. So, whatever way you can get involved, please do. Thanks so much, guys.
All right, just an explanation for our march, and then we'll get chanting and marching. So this is going to be the lead banner, and Theo and the other comrade are going to move over there to the front over there. And once we start marching, please follow them. We're going to move as slowly as possible so people with disabilities and people who walk more slowly can be with the march. We would encourage everybody to come to the front. If you walk at a slower pace or you have a disability, please come to the front of the march, and that will make sure that we all don't march too fast. You were gonna say that. Oh, sorry, I jumped the gun. I'll bring up Michelle to explain that. But what we're gonna do is we're gonna march up College Street all the way to the UVM green between the Howe Library and the Davis Center, and we're gonna join the student encampment where we'll have student speakers celebrating their victories and laying forth the path forward for the struggle at UVM, the struggle in our city, and the struggle in our state. But first, listen to Michelle, who will explain the march route. I just did it all.
Yeah, you just did it all. Hi, Michelle Edelman McCormick, and I'm with Cooperation Vermont and the Coalition for Palestinian Liberation. My only message at this moment is just to really emphasize that we are not gonna take off and leave until the folks like myself with my bad sciatic and my bad ankle make our way to the front banner. And we are going to move really slowly, and we're gonna be mindful of the people walking around us, and we're gonna be mindful of the gaps, and we're gonna be really mindful of the fact that there are a handful of safety traffic people here to support. And we're gonna be managing our own, kind of line across the traffic and being very careful of cars and minding our own manners, and all of those things that we need to do for our collective safety and care. Okay, so folks who are ready to meet me at the front banner, we're going to be over here. I'm here, front banner. See you there.
Okay, give it to this person. Oh, there's Vanessa. No, Vanessa.
Free, free Palestine. Long live Palestine.
Free, free Palestine!
Free, free Palestine.
Long live Palestine!
Long live Palestine.
Long live the Intifada!
Long live the Intifada.
Intifada! Intifada!
Intifada, Intifada.
What do we want?
Ceasefire.
When do we want it?
Now.
What do we want?
Ceasefire.
When do we want it?
Now.
What do we want?
Ceasefire.
When do we want it?
Now.
What do we want?
Ceasefire.
When do we want it?
Now.
What do we want?
Ceasefire.
When do we want it?
Now.
What do we want?
Ceasefire.
When do we want it?
Now.
What do we want?
Ceasefire.
When do we want it?
Now.
Hey, hey, ho, ho, the occupation's got to go. Hey, hey,
Ho ho. The occupation's got to go. Hey hey. Ho ho. The occupation's got to go. Hey hey. Ho ho. The occupation's got to go. Hey hey. Ho ho. The occupation's got to go. Hey hey. Ho ho. The occupation's got to go. Hey hey. Ho ho. The occupation's got to go. Hey hey. Ho ho. The occupation's got to go. Hey hey. Ho ho. The occupation's got to go. Hey hey. Ho ho. The occupation's got to go. Hey hey. Ho ho. No more money for Israel's crimes. Not another nickel. Not another dime. No more money for Israel's crimes. Not another nickel. Not another dime. No more money for Israel's crimes. Not another nickel. Not another dime. No more money for Israel's crimes. Not another nickel. Not another dime.
what do we want?
Ceasefire.
When do we want it?
Now.
What do we want?
Ceasefire.
When do we want it?
Now.
What do we want?
Ceasefire.
When do we want it?
Now.
What do we want?
Ceasefire.
When do we want it?
Now.
What do we want?
Ceasefire.
When do we want it?
Now.
What do we want?
Ceasefire.
When do we want it?
Now. Ceasefire. Now.
What do we want?
Ceasefire.
When do we want it?
Now.
What do we want?
Ceasefire.
When do we want it?
Now.
What do we want?
Ceasefire.
When do we want it?
Now.
What do we want?
Ceasefire. Now.
What do we want?
Ceasefire.
When do we want it?
Now.
What do we want?
Ceasefire.
When do we want it?
Now.
Free, free Palestine!
Free, free Palestine.
Long live Palestine!
Long live Palestine.
Free, free Palestine!
Free, free Palestine.
Long live Palestine!
Long live Palestine.
Free, free Palestine!
Free, free Palestine.
Long live Palestine!
Long live Palestine.
Free, free Palestine!
Free, free Palestine.
Long live Palestine!
Long live Palestine.
Free, free Palestine!
Free, free Palestine.
Long live Palestine!
Long live Palestine.
Free, free Palestine!
Free, free Palestine.
Long live Palestine!
Long live Palestine.
occupation. Up, up with liberation.
Down, down with occupation. Viva, viva Palestina.
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 Viva, viva.
Viva, viva Palestina. 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 Viva, viva Palestina.
Viva, viva Palestina.
Viva, viva Palestina.
Viva, viva Palestina.
Viva, viva Palestina.
Viva, viva Palestina.
Viva, viva Palestina. Viva, viva Palestina. Viva, viva Palestina.
Viva, viva Palestina. What do we want?
Amnesty.
When do we want it?
Now.
What do we want?
Amnesty.
When do we want it?
Now.
What do we want?
Amnesty.
When do we want it?
Now.
What do we want?
Amnesty.
When do we want it?
Now.
What do we want?
Amnesty.
When do we want it?
Now.
What do we want?
Amnesty.
When do we want it?
Now.
What do we want?
Amnesty.
When do we want it?
Now.
What do we want?
Amnesty.
When do we want it?
Now.
What do we want? When do we want it? What do we want? When do we want it? What do we want?
Ceasefire.
When do we want it? What do we want? When do we want it? Free, free Palestine!
Free, free Palestine.
Long live Palestine!
Long live Palestine.
All right. We've seen anything like this. We march from the community up to join the brave heroes in our struggle here at the University of Vermont. The student movement has re-galvanized the Palestine solidarity movement, not only in this city, not only in this state, not only in this country, but around the world. On every corner of the globe, there is a campus with an encampment making the same demand to end the colonial apartheid state of Israel and free Palestine. And communities across the world are responding to their call. Workers across the world are responding to their call. There is an international picket line that workers will not cross of solidarity with Palestine and BDS, boycott, divestment, and sanctions against the apartheid state of Israel. And we have to thank the student movement for rising when our spirits flagged and bringing our spirits back up, putting us back on the streets to fight for a free Palestine. Please give it up to our brave leaders here at the University of Vermont.
How's it going, everyone? section, there's no leaders here. We are all one community. Now, a few of us students had some things to say, some things to read. Just a moment of your time. I wanted to start off just centering our focus. We're focused on the Palestinians, we're focused on Gaza and freedom in that region. So as we gather here today, I want to once again bring our focus back to the people who most deserve our attention. We are all aware that Rafah has been under siege for some time, and that the Israeli government has now officially announced an invasion on Rafah while they vetoed the most recent ceasefire agreement. I'd like to take a moment to tell you the tragically short story of Hami Mahmoud Hishna. He was a baby boy brought into the world through violence. On October 23rd, Hani's parents were both mortally wounded in an Israeli airstrike. Hani was an orphan, cut out of the womb of his 8 months pregnant mother. Just over 24 hours ago, another airstrike, this time on his grandfather's home in Rafah, in Al-Salam, killed the 6-month-old Hami, along with his 2 sisters, his grandmother, his grandfather, and other family members. A total of 9 family members were killed, 4 of whom were children. One survivor quoted, "He was born in war and he died in war. He was just a baby who didn't see much of life." I'd like to take a moment of silence, not just for Hami, not just for the other babies who have lived that same experience and died that same experience at the hands of the Israeli occupation, for all of the martyrs in Palestine.
Bluetooth connected.
When questioned about his decision to escalate the attacks in Rafah, Netanyahu said that added military pressure is a necessary condition of, quote, the return of the captives, and that the capture of the Rafah crossing is an important step towards dismantling Hamas. To that I say, we see your lies, Benjamin. We see your violence, and the violence of the Israeli state for what it truly is. An ethnic cleansing, a genocide, a land grab from a despicable colonial state. This does not happen in a vacuum. The world does not sit idly by watching injustice without pressure from the system of valuing capital over lives, pressure from the United States of America and other Western countries more concerned with funding an ally than aiding and abetting a genocide. From liberals and conservatives alike who prioritize order over justice, when will the atrocities stop? When will the people of Palestine be able to rest without fear? Be able to return home to a free nation? These are not theoretical questions. We have the answers, and they are all the same. When enough of the citizens of the world come together and say no more. No more death and destruction. No more funding war crimes. No more arms deals to an apartheid state. long as we start small and build up. Neighbors joining the movement. Students forcing the hands of their schools. Local governments putting pressure on state governments, putting pressure on national governments. Unions pressuring capital owners. If we all work together, if we do not let the flame of this movement die, we can see a free Palestine in our lifetimes! Free, free Palestine!
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 Now, some of us students had a few things to read for you all. If those students who prepared something would come up here and do your readings.
This is a poem I wrote personally. Young people everywhere uniting for humanity, fighting against a government that is empty. Void of any democracy, we see you for what you are. A government founded on constant calamity and made-up nationality. You thrive off of destroying lives and funding war crimes to maintain a status that is crumbling before your eyes. We see you for what you are. And no matter how hard you try to control our screams, our liberation, your modern-day slave patrols will never break our soul. We see you for what you are. A nation stained red from the moment it was born. Blood is on your hands and the water has run dry. You can't hide anymore. We see you for what you are, because we've been here before. 1968, Columbia University against the Vietnam War. 1970, 4 students killed by the National Guard. 1985, UVM South African shantytown. 1996 marked the end of a 30-year-long genocide in Guatemala. 200,000 people killed. In the US, the mastermind behind every death. We see you for what you are. And the longer you try to hold up a murderous regime, the stronger we return. Resistance flows through our veins, our homes we create, our communities, our unity sees us through. We see you for what you are, and you are grasping at straws. We will keep fighting because we are not empty. We are human. The martyrs' lives fuel our cries. From the river to the sea, Palestine will be free.
Free, free Palestine!
Free, free Palestine!
Free, free Palestine!
Free, free Palestine!
Long live Palestine!
Long live Palestine!
Free, free Palestine!
Free, free Palestine!
Free, free Palestine!
Free, free Palestine!
Long live Palestine!
Long live Palestine!
Free, free Palestine!
Free, free Palestine!
Long live Palestine!
Long live Palestine!
Now we had a couple more students, I believe, who wanted to do readings. You can come up here to the front.
They might be in the encampment. So I just want to take a moment to emphasize the significance of this moment right here, right now, today.
This encampment is one of hundreds around the world right now standing up and demanding that our universities end their complicity in the colonial violence against the Palestinian people. But it is important to remember that these encampments are all just one moment in time, and it is our duty to turn mobilization into organization. When the students came here and set up this encampment, it was a shot in the dark. We did not know what kind of community support we would receive. We did not know how many people would rally to our side. This is the people, you are the people who have rallied to our side and risen up with us. And it is critical that we take this energy and we keep building it beyond this encampment into a long-term movement until Palestine is free. Since this encampment began, Palestine Solidarity Caucuses have emerged in the Staff United Union and the Graduate Student Union. And so we need to learn from our actions, and we need to learn from all of our mobilization, and to see that when we take risks, it can be built into something bigger. I hate this thing. I think we're just waiting for the rest of our speakers, and we are just going to keep the energy up, keep chanting for a free Palestine, because this energy is what drives us. This mobilization is what keeps us moving into victory. So when we say that we will not stop, we will not rest until divestment, we have to mean it, and we have to put every ounce of our energy into this moment, because we know that that is our call, that is our duty to humanity. So we say, disclose, divest, we will not stop, we will not rest, disclose, divest.
We will not stop, we will not rest.
Disclose, divest.
We will not stop, we will not rest.
Disclose, divest.
We will not stop, we will not rest.
Disclose,
Divest. We will not stop, we will not rest.
disclose,
Divest. We will not stop, we will not rest.
disclose, divest.
We will not stop, we will not rest.
Disclose, divest.
We will not stop, we will not rest.
Disclose, divest.
We will not stop, we will not rest.
Disclose,
Divest. We will not stop, we will not rest.
disclose,
Divest. We will not stop, we will not rest.
disclose, divest.
We will not stop, we will not rest.
Disclose, divest.
We will not stop, we will not rest.
Disclose, divest.
We will not stop, we will not rest.
Disclose, divest.
We will not stop, we will not rest. Disclose. Divest.
We will not stop, we will not rest. Disclose,
Divest. We will not stop, we will not rest.
disclose, divest.
We will not stop, we will not rest. Disclose. Divest.
We will not stop, we will not rest.
Divest. We will not stop, we will not rest.
Disclose, divest.
We will not stop, we will not rest.
Disclose, divest.
We will not stop, we will not rest. Divest. We will not stop, we will not rest.
Free, free Palestine.
Free, free Palestine.
Free, free Palestine.
Free, free Palestine.
Long live Palestine.
Long live Palestine.
Free, free Palestine.
Free, free Palestine.
I will be reading a passage from Rafah by Muhammad al-Kurd, who should be our commencement speaker this year. This is Boy Sells Gum at Qalandia. I know I pronounced that wrong, I'm sorry. Qalandia. There are bulldozers in these clouds, bulldozers in their clouds, and they bring rain often. boy at Kalandia, and they have stolen the wicks of the stars. He shouldn't be outside. Stones will fling themselves in protest. This Hebrewed land still speaks Arabic. Their drones will rig this. The boy at Kalindia selling gum, he shouldn't be outside. He'll be a thrower, a catcher, a bulldozed bulldozer, often. What's a boy doing, winning bread under gallows? And where's the merit in that? Whose side is God on? Some days it feels like they've unlocked prayer. They pray often. A man on the sidewalk explains natural selection, as in the boy's grit shouldn't be softened. The man says the boy's walk looks too much like a song and too little like a man walking. A woman tells him a pen is a sword. What's a pen to a rifle? Another fed him a sonnet. If Shakespeare were from here, he wouldn't be writing. I write about Palestinian boys as if they're older than labor. The boy is 8, which is 22 for Americans. The boy knows this. His mother calls him a man in his nightmares. You're a man now. A painter stands in this collecting strokes. A photographer offers a helping hand. They want to build a museum in his torture. The boy wins the bread knowing he shouldn't be. He tells the photographer to pay him for his bread, the photographer's bread, for wallets fattened by indignance. His mother calls him the man of the house. She thinks it makes him feel better about the hunched back he's earned before the 6 a.m. of his life. The gray he's earned before the 6 a.m. of his life. Hollandia is gray often. I drive by. I roll down my window. I buy what I can. You shouldn't be outside through the fire. What is fear to the ferocious? I ask him to stop selling gum. He tells me I don't know a thing about this. Don't know a thing about the sun's fingernails clawing the back of his neck. I'll be quiet then. I don't know a thing. Not a man yet. Not a man often.
Hey, what's going on? I'm here to talk about the importance of individual conversations in local organization. So, being here is amazing, and I appreciate it a lot, and obviously you're helping us out. Bringing the backup has been great. But speaking in a room full of like-minded people doesn't do as much to progress our movement as seeking out those who you disagree with. And not holding sessions in groups where you single a person out or you yell at them or something like that, but to hold individual conversations. These can take half an hour, 1 hour, 2 hours, and you may not come to any consensus in the first conversation, but to have the seed planted in their head from a friend, from a colleague, from a peer, they will start to question whose side they truly believe. And as you continue to have these individual conversations in non-professional settings, that is how we are going to get people on our side. That is what we need to do. And the next thing I have to talk about is local organization, because having these big main overarching organizations is great, but where true community spirit comes from is organizing at a small local level. If you're a parent teachers association, homeowners association, maybe even cop watchers, any small club where you can have an impact, maybe of groups of, like, let's say 8 people at a local level, where you can turn some heads and you can get the ears of your local city councilors, your state officials. That's how we're gonna start, because progress stems from the bottom. We make big change with every small step. That's it.
Bluetooth disconnected.
Since we are focusing on those who have been murdered in Palestine, I wanted to introduce a chant that might be new to you, but that is very important. We will honor all the martyrs, all the parents, mothers, fathers. We will honor all the martyrs.
We will honor all the martyrs.
All the children, sons and daughters.
All the children, sons and daughters.
We will honor all the martyrs.
We will honor all the martyrs.
All the parents, mothers, fathers.
All the parents, mothers, fathers.
We will honor all the martyrs.
We will honor all the martyrs.
All the children, sons and daughters.
All the children, sons and daughters.
We will honor all the martyrs.
We will honor all the martyrs.
All the parents, mothers, fathers.
All the parents, mothers, fathers.
We will honor all the martyrs.
We will honor all the martyrs.
All the children, sons and daughters.
All the children, sons and daughters.
Thank you.
Students are rising up, and we will rise up against our administration's complicity in genocide, and we need all of you to rise up against our local governments, our politicians, and the genocidal...
Bluetooth disconnected.
Bluetooth disconnected. We need every single person in this movement to rise up, to resist in every aspect of their life. And we need local organization, we need national organization, and we need to be resisting at all times. We have a few announcements before we close out. And then we will say some words before we all go home and continue the fight tomorrow.
This fight will not end until Palestine is free. But tomorrow we have a fight of our own against the administrative offices, and we are asking you all to show up for court support here tomorrow, all day, from 9 to 5. Show up, support us, and show your support for Palestine.
Just a couple of quick things. When the students were talking about all rising up together, I think there's no better example in this country than what all the higher education workers are doing in the state of California. Their unions are voting on May 13th about going on strike against the police state violence brought on the students of the California education system. 48,000 workers would go on strike and shut all higher education in the public sector down in California. That's when student power merges with workers' power, and that is the magic to transform this country. But yes, we should cheer that. It's a good thing. But that doesn't happen without organization. None of this is magical. It's not just a spontaneous thing that erupts all of a sudden. It takes union organization, it takes student organization, it takes coalitions. So everybody has got to get organized. If you're not organized, you can't play a role in the liberation struggle. So join an organization today. And all those organizations should join the Vermont Coalition for Palestinian Liberation. We are the umbrella that unites us from community to student to workers' organizations in this state. Join us. And our key initiative right now is getting all organizations to pass the Apartheid-Free Community Pledge. We want unions to pass that pledge. We want faith groups to pass that pledge. We want businesses to pass that pledge. We want student organizations to pass that pledge. Why? Because once you're against apartheid, you're for boycott, divestment, and sanctions. It's the 1-2 punch that will knock out the genocidal state of Israel. So pass that pledge in your community, in your organization, in your faith group, and in your union. And finally, come to the Vermont Coalition for Palestinian Liberation this coming May 18th, Saturday at 1 o'clock in the Quaker Church here in Burlington. Bring your friends, co-workers, let's get organized. Not just for today, not just for tomorrow, not just for this week or this month, but for this year and the coming years, because this will be a long fight until Palestine is free. Free, free Palestine!
Free, free Palestine!
Long live Palestine!
Long live Palestine!
Free, free Palestine!
Free, free Palestine!
Long live Palestine!
Long live Palestine!
Finally, bring the flags to the front.
To drive home everything that has been said, this encampment is a moment in time, and next semester when the encampment is gone, the pressure needs to still be on. How does that pressure stay on? Not through any tents, not through any banners, not through any signs, but from each of us as individuals joining arms. We are the resistance. Before we send you off, please repeat after me. It is our duty to fight for our freedom.
It is our duty to fight for our freedom.
It is our duty to win.
It is our duty to win.
We must love and support each other.
We must love and support each other.
We have nothing to lose but our chains.
We have nothing to lose but our chains.
Thank you all for coming out to support us. Free Palestine.